What is up, everybody? Welcome into the newest division preview for the 2022 season. For this episode, we're going to be covering the AFC South. What a fun division. Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor. Who's going to take it? Find out after this break. Welcome into the MJT.
God.
Spoilers. Jesus, Joe. Welcome into the MJT YouTube channel. I'm here with my friends Joe Morley and Tony Tucker, the J and the T and the MJT, and I'm NFL Mike, so I represent the M. Joe, other than spoiling everything and other than, the unfortunate Walker Buehler news, how you feeling?
Wait, did I spoil something? What are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about. We're talking about the AFC South here, Mike. Some of the best young players in the league in this division right here. Yeah. Trevor Lawrence, Urban Meyer's not influenced anymore. I'm ready to go. Lovie Smith is back. Woo!
You got some hot takes on the Texans and Jaguars? Save it for the end of the episode. Tony.
Unless they're quick with that pause button, they might have seen something.
Ryan Tannehill's your favorite player in the league, I heard.
Ryan Tannehill almost made me lose my mind last year, but bouncing back in a big way this year, trying to hang on to his job, fighting off Malik Willis. And hopefully, as we learned in the last episode, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And maybe he'll have a few tricks up his sleeve, like old T-Dog here.
Oh, so now you're aligning yourself with cheaters. First the Patriots, now you're aligning with them. My goodness. What's next? You gonna align? Yeah, Raiders next? You going to the Raiders next?
No, you're going to wait till you hear my defense of DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh, here we go. Anyways, we're going to get into this. This is a competition. We're going to reveal at the very end our record predictions for every team in this division. We want you guys at home to, first of all, like this video, subscribe, turn on notifications. It helps us out a ton with the channel. We're trying to grow this thing. We're trying to take this thing to new heights. So be sure to do those things. And then also leave a comment, your record predictions for every team in this division. Compare them to our record predictions and let us know your thoughts. Before we get into it, like I said, it is a competition. Last year, most accurate in this division, the AFC South, was Joe Morley Sports. Congrats. Let's hear it for him. Claps all around. Good job, Joe. Most accurate in AFC South in 2021. Too bad that's going to change, and the M's taking it in 2022. Let's head to Tennessee. Joe, go ahead. I'm running out of breath. I'm out of shape. Go ahead, Tennessee.
Just remember, the Titans were so close. They were a Ryan Tannehill interception away from beating the Bengals and moving on to Kansas City and almost going to the Super Bowl. But Ryan Tannehill did his thing. They don't have A.J. Brown anymore. They brought in Traylon Burks, the first-round picks. They brought in Robert Woods. I like those picks. But I don't like this defense. Unless Jeffrey Simmons is going to get 9 sacks every damn game, they didn't do enough on defense this offseason to make me happy about the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, I think the Titans had a weird offseason to me. I just feel like they could have done so much more, right, to get over that next little hump. But also, when I look at the roster, I don't really know what it is. Like, you can't 9 sacks in a playoff game and you don't win it. I still don't understand that game. And for some reason, they don't replay that game enough. They've replayed the Raiders-Chargers game so many times. I cannot watch it anymore. But they don't play the game where the team has 9 sacks and still somehow manages not to win a playoff game. So I'm confused about the Titans and how I feel about them this year, because they should be a really good football team.
Yeah, I think the defense is really good, and you pair that with the run game with Derrick Henry, you're going to find success usually in the NFL in the regular season. But once you get to the playoffs, you need someone that's going to elevate as a quarterback and make that play. I don't necessarily believe that that's Ryan Tannehill, and in fact, call it a hot take, I think that we've already seen the best of Ryan Tannehill, and it's only going to get worse from here, and that's why they drafted a quarterback in the draft this year to back him up. Whether Malik Willis is the future or not, we're going to find out, but in 2022, I believe it's going to be Ryan Tannehill. And I don't feel that Ryan Tannehill is going any higher than we've seen him go with the Tennessee Titans. I also think that A.J. Brown being out wide, although he's not as healthy as you'd like him to be, A.J. Brown is an absolute monster. I think A.J. Brown's one of the most complete and best receivers in the league. One of the best, not the best. One of the best receivers in the league. And that loss is huge for their future because this guy could have been a Titan for, 10 years before he left the team. They have an elite wide receiver there forever. Instead, he just goes like that. Draft night, gone. Can't get the contract done. He's on his way to Philly. They replace him with Robert Woods and Treylon Burks. I still don't like either of those guys replacing what A.J. Brown does and the threat that he possesses. You have to stay honest in the passing game, even though that they're feeding Derrick Henry. That's not there anymore. He's going to see even more loaded boxes than he has in the past because they're going to feel a little bit better about one-on-one versus rookie Treylon Burks or Robert Woods outside than they would with A.J. Brown in the past. So, yeah, I think that the Titans got a little bit worse, and I think they were a little bit overrated last year. So, yeah. Maybe one of the weaker one seeds of my lifetime.
As long as they got Derrick Henry, they could do whatever they want.
As long as they got Derrick Henry, right? All right, let's move on to the team that finished in second place after a catastrophic fail because of their quarterback last year, who was no longer their quarterback. The Indianapolis Colts. Joe, outlook on the Colts.
This is a team that everybody was happy with, right? Everybody was like, oh, they got Carson Wentz. They're going everywhere. But it's just been a revolving door at that quarterback position, and they brought in another veteran guy and Matt Ryan. Maybe he could do the job. Maybe he turns into Phillip Rivers. We don't know. But they got that. They got Alec Pierce, their second-round pick, paired up with Michael Pittman. Their offensive line was one of their strengths, right? And that's what they're going to have to rely on with Jonathan Taylor back there. How much pounding can Jonathan Taylor take? Like, can they keep it? He's did it in college. He's going to do it again this year. There's a lot of people riding with him on fantasy. And I think that this defense is a little sneaky good, right? Sneaky good. They brought in Stephon Gilmore as their cornerback. Brandon Faison, we all know him from the Charger days and the Raiders days. We'll see if he gets burnt a couple of times. So I'm kind of iffy on that cornerback position. But the rest of this, I think they're going to get to the quarterback, man. I think that D-line is going to get to that quarterback.
Yeah, for me, the big thing with them is Shaquille Leonard. Is he healthy? What's going on with the back? I've read some reports where he might not start the beginning of the season, and he's so key to the team's success because I think he might be – he's at least one of my favorite players to watch on defense. I don't know if he's the best. I was thinking about guys like Fred Warner at that position that I think are really good, but Shaquille Leonard has been phenomenal. Matt Ryan is an upgrade at the position. Just who he is, what he's done in the league, how he will prepare, how he will communicate, and how he will follow the offense to put them in the most successful position. Even if it's athletically, youthfully not an upgrade, it's an upgrade where it matters, and that's between the years. So they'll have a bonus in that spot.
I 100% agree with everything that you just said about Matt Ryan. I feel like the Colts over the last couple of years in building this roster, they haven't had the quarterback that's like a franchise guy that's going to be on the team for 15 years since Andrew Luck. But the Colts have done what the Titans have been trying to do. They built up a stout defense. Stephon Gilmore coming onto this defense as the CB2 behind hopefully a healthy balling Kenny Moore this season. They also brought in Unique Ngakoue to help to the pass rush just a little bit more via trade with the Raiders. That the Raiders scored Chandler Jones. So I think that they're just going to be a similar team to last year with an upgrade at quarterback, a better game manager, a guy that's not going to sell to the Jaguars in the final game of the year like that. The Colts are what the Titans have been trying to do. Veteran quarterback, insanely great running back. The Titans have been trying to build this O-line, but something always happens injury-wise to them, and just a crazy defense. Great defensive line, great front seven. Again, Shaq Leonard's health is a big deal. But I think that this Colts team is ready to take this division crown this year. And they've been back and forth over the last couple of years, so it's not that much of a shocker. MPJ season, baby. All right, let's move on to the next team in this division, which is the Houston Texans. Joe, you feeling Davis Mills at all this year? You think that they improve, get worse, get better? What do you think?
I love his neck. That's all I love about Davis Mills. And maybe he can get a turtleneck sponsorship or something like that. That's about it. I don't know what's going on with the Houston Texans. I think they should have hired Brian Flores. They brought in Lovie Smith for some damn reason because they didn't want to piss off the NFL. But you already done well pissed off the NFL. Look at this roster. This roster is like a bunch of like, hey, let's just throw shit together, see what we can get, and maybe they could win a game or two. I mean, they did a great job when they went out and got Derek Stingley Jr. We were all happy with that, right? But after that, what else do they have on this team? Mike, their number one guy is Marlon Mack at running back. Marlon Mack is your running back. Maybe Pierce takes it. I don't know. But this whole team to me is just like somebody threw up and is just going through the remnants saying, oh, we could salvage this right here.
Lovie Smith is a really good football coach. So I think they're better, and I think they're headed in the right direction. And they're another team, just like I said with the Jets, I think they finish the year really strong, and we start seeing what's happening there. The whole organization is weird because of what was going on with Deshaun Watson, and then David Culley came in, which – did that really happen? Like, it feels like it didn't happen. The guy was a head coach for 10 months or something, and then he was out of the NFL. The Texans, it's messy, but I think they had a good draft and a good offseason overall. Like, I'm a really big fan of Dameon Pierce. I think Nico Collins can step up this year. So I'm excited to watch the young players grow for this team, but they're not really that competitive on the grand scheme, and they have a really tough schedule.
Yeah, I think they're the worst team in the AFC. I think I have them with the lowest amount of wins too, without giving up the actual number. But when I look at I'm looking at their offseason acquisitions here to the right of the stream, and there's just a bunch of guys that didn't succeed in other places and came here and signed 1 or 2 year deals to come to the Texans so that they can tread water a little bit more. This team's going to have to rebuild through the draft, through those picks they acquired by trading their quarterback this offseason, and it's going to take a couple more years for them to get there. I don't think that it's this year. Again, they also have a tough schedule to play. Yeah, we're going to see my slide here in a minute, but let's move on to the final team in the division, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think there's a little bit more positivity around Jacksonville. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, there's a positivity because Urban Meyer got he's gone. He's done. And this is somebody that I told you guys, Urban Meyer was going to be one and done in Jacksonville. He wasn't made for the NFL level, calling out coaches. So the players are going to be a little bit less tense. They're going to go out there and perform. But this team doesn't scare you. This used to be the team that had defense. That was you played Jacksonville. You knew you played Jacksonville with their defense, and they shut you down. Now it looks like they move more to the offensive side, which Trevor Lawrence has to do better than what he did last year, right? And I think he just got put in bad positions. You could already tell in the preseason that they're trying to get him to get rid of the ball faster, let him dump it off to the running back a little bit more. So you're seeing that improvement with that. They have 2 running backs. Etienne should be back already, should be healthy. Then you got James Robinson, so you got 1-2 combination if you want to go there. The wide receiver position, I'm kind of iffy on because Christian Kirk has the great potential to do what he needs to do. But then you have Marvin Jones, Zay Jones. It's just a bunch of number 2, number 3 wide receivers put together, hoping that their speed can go out there and dominate. But, I mean, this is another roster where I'm like, all right, you have your work put out for you, Doug Peterson, to get it back together. But at least they're going in the right direction, in my opinion.
I love the Doug Peterson hire. I think there's a lot of really young talent to be excited about on this team, especially on the defensive side of the football. So maybe that kind of becomes their signature a little bit. I'm a lot bigger fan of the Christian Kirk signing than other people. You can say whatever you want about the money, but sometimes when you're that kind of an organization, you have to go out there and pay a little bit extra to get good players into your building and to be able to help your young quarterback. If they start winning, they will get other people that want to come down there and play, especially with the kind of coach that Doug Peterson is. He seems like the players really like him. So I have a lot of excitement for the future of the Jaguars in 2023 and beyond. 2022, not so good.
I think they improve a little bit this year. I think it's a lot of young players that they need to grow into their own. They can really figure out who the cornerstones of the franchise are with Trevor Lawrence, obviously. You look at the backfield, 2 young running backs that have some juice, hopefully. Both have suffered terrible injuries, but both also showed that they're electric players around Trevor Lawrence. I love what Doug Peterson's doing with the defense, and he did this similarly in Philadelphia. I hated the way Doug Peterson's stint ended in Philadelphia. The way they tanked that game was almost disgraceful to the sport. That's how bad it was. They pulled the starting quarterback for no reason in the middle of the game and said they just wanted to look at him. This guy was a freaking practice squad quarterback that they just wanted to look at instead of getting their young quarterback, Jalen Hurts, some work. No, they were tanking to get a better draft pick and tanking to screw over another team in the division, I'm pretty sure, which, like I said, you don't go out and play a football game to lose. You always go out there to win. Depending on what you have on the field, that's going to change whether you win or not, but you don't just blatantly do it like that. But when I step back and look at what Doug Peterson did as a whole with the Eagles, he took that team in ruins after the Chip Kelly era, very shades of 2022 Hall of Famer Dick Vermeil. Took a team from the ruins, took him to a Super Bowl in a couple of years, and then he was out of there and on to the next team. He's here in Jacksonville now a year later. I love what they're doing on defense, man. You don't have to talk about Trayvon Walker, first overall pick, and what potential he has as a player. They drafted him for ceiling because they have so many other guys in the defense already, because they added Foye Oluokun. They already have Josh Allen on this defensive line. People forget they got Devin Lloyd out of Utah. Chad Muma a couple rounds later. They have so many guys that we were looking at in the pre-draft process this year with a ton of talent, and just previous years in the NFL with a ton of talent. This defense, I think, is going to be good. There's question marks in the secondary, but I think it's going to get covered up a little bit by the front seven. With all that being said, though, very happy with the direction of the team. Very happy with Doug Peterson year one. Tough schedule, like we've been saying for a lot of these teams that are growing right now. Yeah. Tough schedule, and they're going to need some guys that are young and unexpected to really stand out and become elite players to make a run at even a 500 record, in my opinion.
Yeah, the quarterback you referenced was Nate Sudfeld, right? Yeah, I think he played a preseason game for the 49ers recently. They play the AFC West and the NFC West, I believe, this year. NFC or AFC South has a pretty tough schedule.
Well, there's only one thing to do now.
Yeah, let's find out what we said. Again, guys, leave your record predictions in the comment section. Tony, you got one more thing before we reveal? There it is. Hey, I'm the highest on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Duval. Give me some love. Give me some love. All right, well, we challenge who challenged who on what? We all have the Colts winning the division narrowly. So we all kind of agree that it's going to be a tight race. I have a 3-win difference, but I think that, that last week is what separates them by that 3 wins. It's like 2-1 wins the entire season. Both Jaguars and Texans at 4-13 seems reasonable. I think we're pretty reasonable on these. Anything you guys want to challenge?
No, I will say this. You guys have made me feel like I'm a little optimistic on the Titans, but I think, again, I always look at the coaching, and for me, I like Mike Vrabel, and I think that he communicates well with his team. They know what to expect. He's very demanding. He's created a good culture. At least that's what it appears like. I just think that teams like that find ways to win football games, and they still have some pieces on the I'm blanking on. Help me out with the guy in the secondary, the guy who always gets overlooked.
Kevin Byard, he's a beast.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's so fantastic. And Simmons came along nicely last year. I like some of the pieces of the offensive line, and I think Derrick Henry's still got another couple good years left in him. And they got one of my favorite guys from Michigan, Hassan Haskins, in the draft. He's not going to get to carry the ball much, but he's a good special teamer and eventually backup running back at some point. So I
see what you're saying. I have a hard time doubting them because they overcame some serious injuries last year and made it work. And if you tell me they're healthy, they should be better. I do think the Colts are better, though. I do think that the Colts, when you look at their roster, is better, and we all kind of agree on it. So that's why I have the Colts above them more than anything. And when I look at the schedule, the Titans could be in between 7 wins and 12. I mean, they could do it again this year and surprise everybody like they did last year. They were the 1 seed in the AFC, and they just got worked by, a team that won 5 games the year before they made the playoffs for the first time in forever.
I don't know. Maybe I'm still bad on Jacksonville, I guess, because I like Doug Peterson coming in there. I think they're going to be better than last year. But like you said, we're looking at their schedule and we're like, damn. And Tony, I don't think we're that far off on the Titans. I have 9 games. Mike has 8. You have 10. They're right there. It's just 1 or 2 games that go a different way than what we're thinking. It could happen. Like you said, coaching does make a big difference. So I don't think we're right there, but we all agree that the Texans and Lovie Smith just don't have the talent. We're not bashing Lovie Smith. We're just saying the Texans don't have the talent, right?
Not even close.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the
Go ahead.
Jaguars have possibly 10 more guys that I like better than when you get to like the Texans. You get to Brendan Cooks. 10 guys in the Jaguars I would take before you get to the next best Texans player.
Yeah, the Texans have maybe done it to themselves, but they were sort of a darling. Oh, they're going to go to a Super Bowl. Like, remember like the height of Matt Schaub's powers before he was throwing pick sixes every single weekend? They were, J.J. Watt should be an MVP, and DeAndre Hopkins, the end of the Andre Johnson era. Like, the Texans get overlooked, but they've had some really great players in the last 25 years in the NFL, and they have zero to show for it. And they are like the bottom. I think the Texans, Bears, and maybe the Jets at this point can be like all of these teams. Jaguars could be competing for the number one pick just of how brutal the schedules are. Like, they're all going to be in that mix because they can't even afford to lose some of the talent that they have right now. No. A couple of pieces here or there, and all of a sudden things go very badly for them. I hope Davis Mills stays healthy and has a good year and starts to develop a connection. Like I said, I think Nico Collins can be a fantastic player. And as far as the Jaguars are concerned, at a certain point, Trevor Lawrence, what we thought he was, that's got to take over. That's why I have them at 6 games. You have them at 7. Joe said he's a little low. I just believe that Trevor Lawrence is that guy. And he's going to find a way to win a couple of close football games at their end at the end of the year.
And when you look at Doug Peterson's history, he's been around some crazy offensive minds. Andy Reid, Mike Holmgren, these guys. And he's been a backup quarterback to like Brett Favre and all these other legendary quarterbacks. So if anyone knows about quarterbacking and is going to be able to pass it on to Trevor, it's definitely not Urban Meyer. It's more likely going to be Doug Peterson, which, by the way, I think, was it Joe or both of you were saying last year, Urban Meyer, complete train wreck. And you guys were both right about it.
It was Joe. I was the opposite. I thought Urban Meyer was – I said this year, year 2 Urban Meyer, they were going to compete for a playoff berth. I was like thinking Urban Meyer was going to come in and completely change because everywhere he had been in college, he was a winner. I had no signs pointing to the fact that he was arrogant and abusive to players and apparently not very professional. Like, I didn't know any of those things. All I knew was he went from like Utah to Florida to this place to that place. Like, everywhere he went, he was winning. He gets to the NFL and all of a sudden he's like, well, everybody's like Alabama. Thanks for that insight, coach. The NFL is hard. Thank you for that.
Now get the hell out of here.
Let's just recap. I did win this division, right? I did win this division last year.
Joe took the South, according to my tally.
So here it is again. Here's our predictions for this year. You might as well follow the middle one. Come at us if you want in the comments, but be nice. Let us know what we're missing about your guys' team.
I want to say one last thing before we get out of here. How interesting is it going to be if the Texans are closer to your guys' record, right? If they are sort of 7-7 and all of a sudden you're in a tough AFC and there's not really, do you get Malik Willis on the field?
You're talking about the Titans. You said the Texans. I was like
the Titans. I'm sorry. The Tennessee Titans are 7-7 and there's 3 games left to play and you don't have anything to play for. Do you just put Malik Willis
I already put him on the field.
I think that if the Titans are out of the race, they're putting Malik Willis out there and Ryan Tannehill's gone. I do agree with that. But I don't know if they're going to be like that bad. As long as they're in the playoff picture, I think that Tannehill stays in. They are one, in knock on wood, you don't want any injuries, but injuries to any of their star players away from calling it the season right then and there because the roster just isn't there. It's going to take some extreme coaching from Mike Vrabel for a second straight season. And back to the Texans, one more thing I wanted to add was that I did have a little bit of a wind in the sale of the passing offense for the Texans, and then they lost John Mechie. I thought John Mechie was going to ball out. I really did. Hopefully he can get back out in the field and healthy soon. Thank you guys for tuning in to this division preview. Let us know your AFC South record predictions for every team in the comment section before you go anywhere. And then double check. I know you guys did it at the beginning of the video because Why wouldn't you? It's MJT football, baby. But make sure you're subscribed to the channel, like the video, and you had the notification bell on. These are pre-recorded, but if you guys haven't been tuned in, we do a lot of live streams. And those live streams, you're going to need the notification to even know that we're live sometimes. So make sure those notifications on. We will see you on the next division preview, which I heard is the best for last, as they say. Right, guys?
AFC.
Let's do it.